The spoon is small, a little curve of metal you dip into a bag of white crystals, tip into your morning coffee, and forget about. The gesture is a reflex, background noise in an ordinary morning. But as that sweetness spreads, your receptors are responding to an impulse older than your species, older than primates we'd recognize today. We often treat this craving as a modern character flaw, a lack of discipline, or an indulgence we've layered on top of our biology. This intense drive is a survival instinct developed over millions of years, which allowed our ancestors to endure in a world where the next meal was never guaranteed. To see where it started, picture northern Egypt 30 million years ago. Today, the Fayum Depression is a desert, but back then it was a thick, wet woodland. In that canopy, early primates faced a choice between survival strategies. They could spend heavy labor cracking hard nuts and seeds, or they could seek out soft, ripe fruit for an instant, high-energy burn. Fossilized teeth from this era reveal which path they took. Researchers found strikingly low rates of chipping from hard foods. Instead, the teeth showed decay patterns consistent with a diet built around soft, sugary fruit. This preference was solidified by a gene called TS1R2. This genetic marker evolved under the dietary pressure described by the Fayum teeth. Those who could crave and find sugar-dense food secured a fast, reliable energy source. Long before humans hunted or lit fires, seeking out soft, sugary calories was the energy-efficient choice that kept our lineage alive. While the drive for sugar was ancient, the natural world kept it in check. Fruiting seasons are unpredictable, and trees compete with birds, insects, and other primates for a very narrow window of ripeness. Later, for early humans in Africa and Europe, concentrated sugar meant honey. An 8,000-year-old cave painting in Spain shows a person dangling from a vine, reaching into a crevice guarded by thousands of stinging bees to harvest a wild hive. For most of history, sugar was a rare, high-stakes payload. It was something you earned through physical risk, perhaps a handful of times a year. Even early agriculture was modest. In the highlands of New Guinea, people began growing sugarcane to chew the stalks raw, sucking out the juice and spitting out the fiber. The process changed in ancient India, where researchers discovered how to boil cane juice down and coax it into solid crystals. In Sanskrit, this was called shakara, meaning grit or gravel. It transformed a perishable liquid into a stable, tradable commodity, but it remained a luxury reserved for the wealthy or the sick. There is a common narrative that the shift to grain-based farming in the Neolithic era is what destroyed human oral health. But DNA extracted from ancient dental plaque shows that the bacterial communities in our mouths actually remained remarkably stable for thousands of years after farming began. The change arrived barely 200 years ago with the Industrial Revolution, when global supply chains suddenly eliminated the natural scarcity of sugar. This was driven by an economic system built on the labor of enslaved people on Caribbean plantations, which created an unprecedented and artificially cheap supply for European markets. Within a single century, British sugar consumption rose from 4 pounds per person to 18 pounds. This system took a calorie that once required scaling a cliff and made it limitlessly accessible, regardless of the season. This is the core mismatch. We possess tens of millions of years of evolutionary adaptation for extreme scarcity, which has been met with 200 years of manufactured abundance. Our bodies fail in this environment because they have no mechanism to process a year-round, unlimited supply of pure energy. We never had to build a defense against something that used to be impossible to find. That bottomless craving is not a sign of modern weakness. It is a deeply conserved instinct functioning exactly as intended, just in the wrong environment. Which brings us back to the spoon. It doesn't ask for a dangerous climb or a long wait for the fruiting season. It just needs you to reach for it. The sweetness in your cup is answering a want that predates our species by millions of years. It is only the ease of that answer that is new.